Hello and welcome to another program from Big Astronomy. This program is a special program in which we are hoping to share with you all of the free resources that Big Astronomy has for teachers. Big Astronomy is a National Science Foundation funded project. My name is Renee Kerrigan. I am a member of the leadership team for Big Astronomy, as are our panelists today. And we're excited to share with you a lot of these resources. If you are joining us in Zoom, there is interpretation available. So if you'd like to hear this program in Spanish, please select the interpretation button at the bottom of your screen and you'll be able to hear this program in Spanish. If you're watching on Facebook and you would like to hear the Spanish translated version of this program, there is a link where you can go ahead and just join that Zoom webinar on the Facebook event, and that will allow you to hear this program in Spanish. Big Astronomy is a National Science Foundation funded project that has many parts, and the heart of the program is a planetarium show that was created in both English and Spanish that teaches about the National Science Foundation funded observatories that are built on the Andes Mountains in Chile, but more importantly about all the jobs at these observatories that it takes to make the big science happen. This planetarium show is available for free or at very low cost at bigastronomy.org. It also includes, and we'll be discussing this tonight, a flat screen version of the film that teachers can use in their classrooms. It includes activities that were created by the Astronomical Society of the Pacific, and we have Vivian White with us tonight, who works for Astronomical Society of the Pacific and created these activities, and will be teaching us about them tonight. It also includes an educator guide that was designed for classroom teachers, which you can get on our website. There's educational research being done on this program by Michigan State University. And there's all sorts of resources available at bigastronomy.org. And this ongoing live event series, which you can tune into, find out more information on our website, and watch on Facebook. So if you have questions while we're talking, you can either leave them in the comments section on Facebook, or you can leave them in the chat here on Zoom. Just go ahead and make sure you are selected to send them to everyone, and we'll be able to see them there. And I'd like to take a moment to introduce the team that we have speaking tonight. So I mentioned Vivian White from Astronomical Society of the Pacific. We also have Dr. Tim Spuck, who is with AUI, Association of Universities. Oh, I'm going to butcher it, Tim.
Associated Universities, Inc. That's all right.
Associated Universities, Inc., who is the PI, or one of the PIs for this program, and a classroom teacher. And Yasmin Catricero, who also is with AUI and also a classroom teacher from Chile. And Tiffany Stone-Woolbrook, who is a planetarium educator at Ward Beecher Planetarium, and also now working with AUI. So we'll all be talking about these resources that are available for teachers, because we know school is starting back up, and we would really love for people to be able to make use of all the resources that we have available. So Tim and Yasmin, maybe you can get us started by just speaking as to your experience as teachers. What these resources that we have created, how you would use them in the classroom and with your teaching experience.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Yasmin Catricero. I am a physics educator from Chile. I am from the south of Chile. And so I remember when I was teaching physics, you need to find fun activities that use astronomy and to teach in physics, but also use astronomy to connect with other areas of the education, such as science, history. So I remember a few years ago, I had an astronomy club. And on my astronomy club, it was a little bit hard to find fun resources that I can use with my students. And when I go to internet, I always find educational resources that were in English. But in this case, Big Astronomy has many activities that are so much fun to use and to do with students in class. So some of them, for example, you can use the galaxy model. That's one of the activities that they have there. Also, Dark Skies wheel, and they have another one that connects astronomy with original people knowledge, which is Legend in the Sky. And we have also the Mapuche community being part of the Legend on the Sky. So you can explore astronomy for so many different points of view. So I've been, as a teacher, I have my friends back in Chile, and I always tell them, hey, we have those resources, you can start using them. Now we have them in Spanish. So I know as a fact they're using them, and they're so happy to have this available. And it's not just about the activities, because also the show itself, you can have it on your classroom, and you can download the show. You can put it on, you don't need to have a planetarium, because you can also use it as on a flat screen, and you can go with the show, you can do an astronomy class, and then go with the activities. So definitely, whenever I go back to school again, I will use the resources. And I'm still telling all my friends, go here and use them. They're good.
Sure. So I have to follow up after Yasmin. That's never good. Right now I'm the Director of Education and Public Engagement at AUI, but I spent 20 years in the classroom teaching astronomy and earth sciences. And I know as an astronomy instructor and teacher, you're always kind of looking for, what are these things, the gateways? What are the things that I can do to start off a class to kind of get them engaged, excited? You don't want something that's going to take an hour to go ahead and implement. And this is where these resources that have been designed for Big Astronomy, although they might be, identified as informal science learning, that is one of the things where I know myself as an educator, I've worked hard to try to break down barriers between, we're all educators, we're all teachers. It's just we do it in different settings. Sometimes we do it in informal settings, sometimes we do it in formal settings, but there's lots of great stuff that we can use and work together with each other to come up with these ideas about how do we engage and excite learners. That's what we want to do. And so whether it's clues to the cosmos, well, you're starting to talk about the electromagnetic spectrum, and you're talking about light and use of different filters and different colors of light. That's a quick hit sort of 10-minute activity that has been designed that can be used in formal education for you as an educator, whether it's in middle school or high school. We also have Good Night, Good Light, or no, Good Light, Good Night, which is a great activity to look at light pollution. And again, it's sort of a 10-minute activity. And these are what I like to call gateway activities. They're activities that engage kids, they get them excited, they get them ready to go ahead and prime the brain to get them ready to learn. And so that is, that's something where really these resources that have been developed by, Vivian and the team and ASP really can have a powerful impact for classroom teachers. So if you're looking for those kinds of activities, they're here. And I love the fact that we made the commitment early on that our activities are going to be bilingual, both in Spanish and in English. And the fact that we're now looking at, how do we think about moving forward in the future and making these activities accessible to individuals with disabilities, whether it's deaf, hard of hearing, blind, visually impaired. So these are all things that, we're talking about, but the resources are there, they're ready to go, they're easily accessible. And I'm super excited about the project, about the team, and about what we've done to date collectively. And I think when you get a chance to look at the resources, you will be just as excited.
So that's a great segue. Thank you, Tim. Let's go ahead and show all of our attendees how they can get to these free resources and what we have available. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, which will allow everyone to see our website without us clicking through the website. Okay, so Tiffany, do you want to tell folks how they can get to some of these resources on bigastronomy.org?
Thank you, Renee. Absolutely. Big Astronomy has a lot of different pieces, which some of us have begun explaining tonight. And all of those pieces are represented on our website. We sometimes call it a web portal because we want this to be the place where everyone goes, including our teachers. And really, for the focus for teachers is on that education tab at the very top. Although if you look on our screenshot here, let me make sure it's there. You can see that little EN and ES at the top right corner. By default, all these pictures are in English, but you click that ES link and it's translated into Spanish for you. On the education tab, there's many different links there that will take you directly to our resources targeted for teachers. So once you click that page, these are some of the things that you will see on the education page itself. So just a quick overview of a lot of the different resources we offer. Over here at the top, we have the Educator's Guide, which is in English and Spanish, available for download. And this is meant to help teachers tie in topics that students would learn about or would be related to the planetarium show or the flat screen classroom edition version we'll talk about in a moment. And this is meant to connect the classroom to the planetarium, or to connect the classroom to connect lessons to the film. So Renee worked really, really hard on gathering the resources and putting this educator guide together. So Renee, would you like to talk for just a minute about some of the different things the educator guide offers?
Sure. So as Tiffany said, it's a collection of resources intended for formal teachers in a classroom setting to connect to the Big Astronomy film. And this, we said at the beginning, the film is being shown at planetarium shows around the country and even internationally. So if there's a planetarium near you, and if your school allows you to do field trips in the current situation, then maybe you can see the planetarium show in a planetarium. But it's also available as a flat screen download, and Tiffany will go into more detail about that, I know. But either way you experience this, then this educator guide ties into that film. And so it has a written sort of synopsis of what the film is and the people that you'll meet at the film, because the heart of this planetarium show is that it's not about the machines, it's about the people who make these observatories work. So it describes the people, it describes the jobs that you'll meet. So as a teacher, if you haven't had time to totally, to watch it, you can at least read this, and it gives you an overview of what you'll see in the film. It has key terms identified, so vocabulary words that you might want to review with your students. And it has main questions and answers sort of that might come up in relation to the film. And it talks about learning goals that are supported by this film. It's tied to the standards that you're as teachers asked to teach. And then it also has related activities. So activities that you might want to do either before or after you've seen the film, or maybe in combination, so that you can sort of build a whole lesson arc around this film if you want to use it in your classroom teaching experience. And you can download it for free in both English and in Spanish right here on our website.
Thank you, Renee. And one of my favorite activities in our educator guide is a little write-up of the indigenous culture knowledge from the Andes Mountains. The indigenous people in the Andes interpreted the sky differently than how we sometimes express the sky in astronomy and the study of science. And we know that cultures around the world and across time have looked at the stars in different ways. And so being able to capture that in our educator guide with the help of the indigenous community in Chile was really, really wonderful. And I'm excited that that's included in our guide. Also, a little bit further down the page, you have information on our toolkit that's sort of targeted for informal educators, but there's a lot that applies in the classroom as well. And we'll talk about that more in a moment. And then we will, you can also click a button to download the flat screen version of our show. Or we're calling it the classroom edition, because this is our intention, is that the flat screen version be utilized for teachers, for you in your classroom. And Big Astronomy, the planetarium show, it was designed to be a planetarium show, but we are excited to offer it in an adapted flat screen version for teachers to preview if they want to, or to utilize in their classroom if they're not able to make it to a planetarium right now. If you go to our website under the education page and you click the Get Classroom Edition button, it will take you to a short form. As Renee mentioned before, this is Big Astronomy is a research project in part. We are collecting data. And so that form that you would fill out, it allows our research team to do some analysis. It's just for us. And then after you fill out that form, you would be directed to a place where you can either watch it on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, or download it for a local file. If you go on the sub pages of our education tab here, you can see on the screenshot there, this is the second tab there for the bonus content. There's lots of wonderful content here for you to enjoy. We have some really wonderful high resolution screen captures from the planetarium show, Big Astronomy. It's a beautiful, beautiful show. So having some of these high resolution images available for download if you want to create content related to this topic, it's there for you. Also, a little bit further down that page is the virtual tours. There's a couple of virtual tours that have been generated for some of the observatories that are highlighted in the Big Astronomy program. And you can actually take your children, you can use Google Cardboard, you can use the computer or a phone or whatever is VR compatible, and actually explore some of these observatories. On the bottom page there, learn more. It has a good bit of content there. I did want to highlight this area of that page specifically. It's ways for teachers to connect and get involved. These are some wonderful initiatives that have already been well established in the community, not in partnership with Big Astronomy, but very in relation to what we do, in very similar areas. Although Night Sky Network, of course, you'll hear from Viv, we do work with them. So these are, if you like the kinds of things that Big Astronomy offers, here are some wonderful ways, other programs and initiatives that are similar. And now we're jumping up to that very first tab there for informal activities, that first subcategory under education. I wanted to end with this because we really want to deep dive into these informal activities. They are phenomenal. Vivian is very talented at what she does, and her team is just really great at taking everyday objects, any object you can find in your room, and turning it into a science demo. It's just really great. So I'm going to hand this over to, this is where you'll find it on the website. If you want to learn more about the toolkits, including all the instructions and resources, they're all here on our website. But I'm going to turn this over to Viv so that she can talk a little bit more about what content are in these toolkits.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. I appreciate that. I am so thankful to all you teachers listening out there. Big props to you. We went back to school today and my hats are off to you, all of them. So as Renee said, there are two guides. There's the Educator guide that's got some longer activities for the classroom. And then there's this informal toolkit of activities that we've created. And these are kind of tasters. Tim was talking about that earlier, but they're a great way to introduce concepts. The themes that we had 4 themes for this toolkit. The first one is multi-wavelength astronomy and how it gives us kind of a more complete picture of the cosmos. The second theme was talking about how astronomers need clear, dark skies for observing and how those are all found in Chile. And not all the dark skies in the world, but clear and dark skies are abundant in the mountains of Chile. The third being how astronomy is available to everyone who wants to do it. And there are many, many ways to become involved. So we try to incorporate that. I work with amateur astronomers mostly, but this is created for all sorts of informal educators, museum educators, and amateur astronomers and others who are interested in talking about astronomy with the public. The fourth topic is that the study of astronomy is deeply rooted in cultures from around the world, and it's been part of our culture for as long as we have record of. So we wanted to just make sure to acknowledge that, and there's some pieces in there that I think you'll enjoy. I'll tell you a little bit about what we did with this informal toolkit. So we had a lot of research and development that went into this. Yeah. And what I've done for most of the time I've worked at the Astronomical Society of the Pacific and with the Night Sky Network is we create hands-on activities, which are fabulous, except for when you're in a pandemic and nobody wants to touch anything. So we decided to take a lot of what we had done and bring it online. And I'll show you some of that in a minute. I just want to give you a heads up. Go ahead and grab a phone if you don't have one near you already, if you're not already multitasking. Go ahead and grab a phone. You're going to need it in just a minute. So if you go to the next slide, I think I'll just run through these. We tested this all over in Chile and also in the US with museums and with astronomy clubs in both places. And we've came up with a box of materials of 7 different activities that cover those topics I was talking about. And those activities we've sent out to over 200 clubs and museums so far, and there's more coming out soon. And just to let you know that these have been tested and vetted many times. So we went through a long process to make them happen. And then with the pandemic, we've also done a lot of testing to make sure that they work virtually as well. So I'm going to go to the next one and show you a little bit about what we need. Sorry, what we mean. Clues to the Cosmos has goals that talk about how there are more colors of light than we can see with just our eyes, and that telescopes can detect different kinds of light, right? So this picture on the right here uses representational color to explore different parts of a nebula. Now, on the left-hand side, you'll see these are the materials that we sent out to museums and astronomy clubs across the country and around the world. However, since a lot of the places we worked with were doing online outreach, we decided to also take it and see what we could do with virtually. So the next piece right here is where you're going to need your phone. This is a virtual adaptation of the Clues to the Cosmos activity, and it requires just a URL. You can go to rgb-lens.karnofsky.com. This is an Italian they're artists, an artist duo from Italy who do amazing art. You should check them out. And we worked with them and we're able to use some of their material in the toolkit. But if you take your phone and you just take a picture of that QR code there, I'll do the same so I can show you. And then I think you have to let it, there we go. Yeah, just let it access your phone, your camera. So you just say, you're going to turn your device into a magic viewing lens and allow it to access your camera. Oh, okay, and then you have right in your very own hands a set of lenses that can look at many different colors. So the toolkit had filters that allowed you to look at pictures in different colors, but this is going to allow you to do that just with your phone. So let's go to the next slide. And we're just going to explore if you want to take your filter, and I would say in just the beginning, go ahead and stick with the red, green, and blue circles because it's going to be easier, but then feel free to explore all you like. You might want to, if you want to put in the chat there what you notice about these images. What color does the filter let through? What do you notice? And I'll just give you a minute to play with that. It's really fun to do with kids because they get to explore what filters are doing. So these are different filters. The red one is a red filter and so on. Just to give you an idea of how we might use this in astronomy, this band on the left-hand side is the spectrum, all of the light that comes from the star Vega that's spread out like with a prism. And you'll notice that there are lines in that. And the activity, if you get into it, allows you to explore some of that with students or with the general public. So each activity has 4 pages to it. The first 2 pages are something that you could present with the public or to your students. They ask questions. It's all based on questioning techniques and pointing out different aspects of a phenomena. And then the last 2 are for the presenter or the teacher. And so those allow you to have some background information, some setup information, and those kind of things. So the light we see from stars is white, but when we spread it out like through a prism, we see this rainbow and spectrum, and it tells us a lot about what is inside of stars. All right, but we don't just use this in astronomy, we use it all over the place. Yeah, okay, can you all try and break the code? This is taken. So on the website, you'll see that there's a Google slideshow of all of this information that you can use in your classroom. They may or may not have access to phones, but if you have filters you can use in your classroom, that's a great way to do that. So does anyone able to break the code? Ah, yes. Let's see. If you can, go ahead and stick it in the chat. Hey, all right, we got Denise and Tom have seen it. Now you see the light. So I don't think if you don't have it, you'll have to try it again later. Because I don't have the second version of that in there. But if you look through one of the filters, there will be a secret message. So if you go into the next slide, this just talks about how there is light that we can see beyond what our eyes see, right? So, and astronomers use color and color filters to reveal these invisible sky secrets. They use powerful telescopes on Earth and in space to collect the light, but then when they're representing it, because our eyes can't, for instance, see X-rays, right? We have to represent it as a color. So we use representational color in pictures that we have of the universe in order to better explain what we can see in all of the different wavelengths. So they're kind of 2 pieces to this. You can use the filters to explore these a little bit, ask questions about it. One of the questions on the activity is, what would this nebula look like to our eyes, right? And seeing if the students can understand that we actually see the optical version, that green part. It doesn't look green to us, it looks like it's white, but we would only see the optical. We wouldn't see the radio or the infrared or any of these other wavelengths. And then hopefully finishing it off we allow students and the public to make their own images. So this is the STEM, the A in STEAM, the art part. I think the National Radio Astronomy Observatory has done an amazing job with this tool. And it allows you to create your own image using all of the different wavelengths of light, many different wavelengths of light, I should say, and you can color them whichever color you'd like and make these beautiful images. So it's a great way to explore it and play around with the topic as you're introducing it and kind of build interest in the topics that you're talking about. So this one in particular would be multi-wavelength astronomy. And we have so many more activities. I think Tim, he explained quite a few of them. The picture behind me, we have an activity about our place in the galaxy, kind of giving some scale models of that. That's good for middle school and older, talking about where we are in our galaxy. And there are quite a few more. So they're meant to be short activities, but they're great for introducing concepts. And I hope you get to use some of them. I will say these are available on the Big Astronomy website, also on the NASA Night Sky Network. That's for astronomy clubs in particular. And there are dozens and dozens of other outreach activities on that website. If you're interested, you're welcome to explore that. But these in particular cover those 4 topics I was talking about earlier.
Thank you so much for going through that, Vivian. And we know, I believe that the download for the manual for how to do these activities is freely available in both English and Spanish. And the kit itself is not quite as widely freely available, but all the materials are fairly low cost. Is that right?
Yes, or easy to access from your phone, for example. Yes.
Great. So I hope that you will make your way to Big Astronomy. We have so many great comments about the activities, and I know the filters one is so fun, and it's immediately recognizable to anybody that there's something special happening here, and it's really connected to how astronomers do astronomy. So find out more about the other great activities as well in this informal kit at bigastronomy.org, as Tiffany was showing you. And another resource not on bigastronomy.org, but available online, is our YouTube channel. And Tiffany, want to tell us just a little bit about what people can find on Big Astronomy's YouTube channel?
Sure, thanks, Renee. Our YouTube channel is linked on our website, but you can find it at Big Astronomy. And first of all of these live events that you're seeing on Facebook or on the Zoom webinar, they're archived and uploaded onto our YouTube, and you can see those there. And we also have behind the scenes interview footage from the show that didn't make it into the show, or that expands on some of the interviews that are in the actual Big Astronomy show. And then we also have these educator clips, which are really fantastic for teachers, again, to introduce or to help further a conversation on these topics. We do have these in English and in Spanish. They use clips from the Big Astronomy show to illustrate specific topics like Chile's climate and geography. How I really like video 4 about how science is done as a team and how it requires big teams to make big science happen. It's a big theme of the planetarium show, and it's really well summarized in that video. So check out our YouTube channel. There's lots of great material there that supplements the topics that we discuss in the show and in the toolkit and everywhere else.
And I'll just add to that these educator clips are also referenced in the educator guide that was created with the intention of teachers using it in the classroom. So there are some activities that then directly reference that these clips are available so that you can learn more about specific, how the wavelengths of light work in telescopes, for example. So it all sort of works together. So download the Educator Guide on our website and watch these clips on our YouTube channel. And you can find them linked in that guide and on our website as well. And we're going to get to questions soon. So if you have questions for us, please just leave them in the comments section. Either if you're watching on Facebook, leave them in the comments on Facebook, or if you're here in Zoom, leave them in the chat in Zoom, and we'll get to them in just a moment. But Yasmin, could you just speak a little bit more about the bilingual nature of this project and how it has resources for folks in both English and Spanish?
Sure. Thank you, Renee. Well, first of all, I want to say that Big Astronomy has it all. As how you see here, we have so many resources that are so friendly with the teachers, with the students, for formal or informal educators. So they're all available for you. And you see, we have the YouTube channel. And the activities there are so cool. Like the Viv just showed us, even if you are not doing doing classes in the classroom and doing virtual classes, you can still using those resources and having have fun teaching physics science concept. So please go to our website. You can find their resources, English and Spanish, and they're aligned so well. For example, I know Chilean curriculum and I know USA curriculum. So I know how they align so well with so many content, with so many great and different subjects, not just in physics, not just in astronomy, but also, for example, if you want to promote science and STEM for future professionals, Big Astronomy also does that. We want to show, like Renee said, this is not just about astronomy, it's not about physics itself, it's about how people and how teamwork is needed in big facilities to be a success. So I want to invite you, all of you, I already share to all my friends back in Chile, go to the website, get the educational resources, share it with your friends, and also at the website, you can also make questions and just ask if you need something else.
Well, thank you everyone for, thank you to Vivian, Tiffany, Yasmin, and Tim for speaking tonight about all these resources that we have available. We certainly hope that you use them. We are all teachers in some way. Not all of us teach in a classroom, but we are all passionate about educating and helping people learn. So we hope that these resources are useful to you. So if anyone has any questions, we're happy to answer them for you. I've been seeing a lot of nice comments here in the chat, so maybe we have already answered all your questions for you. But don't be shy to leave any questions if you have any. Tim, is there anything that you want to share in closing, maybe about the project or the National Science Foundation aspect to this project before we close out? Oh, Yasmin has something.
Oh, go ahead, Yasmin.
Okay, sorry, I was looking at the questions, and we have Mario Campos. He's asking about if those material will be in Chile, but Mario, you can, all the materials that are for the educational guide for the activities you can find them in Chile, and if you want to buy them, they're easy access. You can find it in any library, and also you can you can print the information that comes with educational, with the activities, because you have all the frames where you need to do your activities there. For example, Legend in the Sky, you have the pattern, you just need to print them and just have the activity taking place in your classroom with your students. So please go look, and you will see how easy it is to find all those resources in Chile.
And also, Mario, one of the things that we could do is that if you need additional assistance or guidance, that is something that, we of course are working closely with the observatories in Chile, with ALMA, LSST, CTIO, Gemini, and I'm sure that the education and outreach professionals there would be happy to, to connect with you and give you additional resources. We do want to thank the U.S. National Science Foundation for all of the, the support in making this happen. They, of course, funded the project. And so we're very thankful to them for that. But also just, as you heard from this group of people, I mean, this is an outstanding group of professionals in whether it's formal or informal astronomy education. And, that it's just been an excellent project and an excellent group to work with. So I think that if you have an opportunity to ever work with any of these individuals, I would strongly recommend it. They've just been superb. But yeah, I think the last thing in closing comments is that Arla would like to say hi. No, but in closing comments, I would just like to say that we are a great team, and we're here to support you in what you need. So if you do have questions or you have thoughts or concerns or anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us for any additional support you might need.
Well, then I would like to introduce Dr. Jessica Trucks, who's a member of the research team at Michigan State University, and she'll speak for just a moment about the education. So this is a project to help people learn, but there's also educational research being done on this project. So Jessica, can you speak about that for a moment and let people know how they could help? We can't hear you, Jessica. There we go.
Okay, there we go. All right, so like Renee said, I'm part of the research team, and we'd love to hear your feedback on the project and how you're using the pieces of this project. So one way you can do that, which will be popping up in the chat shortly, is to fill out a survey. And if you fill out the survey, you'll be entered to win a $10 Amazon gift card. But you can also opt in to talk to us in interviews during that survey. So we can hear how you're using the project and how you're implementing it in your classrooms. And we'd really love to hear from you. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for all of you who maybe have participated in that so far. It really is very helpful to us, and hopefully will help us improve this project and future projects that we can do for the community. All right, well, in closing, thank you everyone so much. Those links are there in the Zoom chat. They'll be popping up there on Facebook in just a moment. I will go ahead and stop our live stream. And in closing, just say thank you for tuning in. We'll be coming back with another live event next month, but we hope to see you on Big Astronomy's social media pages, and we hope you'll visit bigastronomy.org to check out all of these free resources. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, y'all.